Hello and welcome to our second video on receptive language. If you weren't able to check out the video from last week, I highly recommend it, as the information I'm going to be talking about today will be a tag on from the information we talked about last week. This week, we're really going to dive into the concept of language. What does understanding and comprehension tag into, and how are we, one, helping a child develop those skills, and also reviewing the skills to see what is actually sticking. My best analogy, if you don't know me, I'm an analogy queen. That's how I connect to things. But my best analogy is thinking about a sport, for example, soccer. There is a difference between I understand what a soccer ball is to I understand the game of soccer, and then coach tells me these drills are something I need to master, and then compiling all of that information to now I'm on a soccer field and coach is putting me in. Can I play the game? Can I take all of that information and apply it without someone holding my hand? That is when we would say there is complete mastery of all of that information that we practiced is now being executed. That doesn't mean you're a master. It definitely means you can always practice. However, you understand the concept, you can apply the concept, and you can work with feedback. That is what language is as we develop the concepts and connect to what we understand around us. To break down this information, I have made a simple chart to demonstrate specific aspects of what a word connection can look like. I didn't hit all pieces of information, but I tried to break it down into 4 areas that at least gives us a building block of what we can start with. Take a look. As we review this chart, I want you to imagine the words and activities that your child connects to and plug them in as we review each section. The first we're going to talk about is their sensory system. What sensory experience are they connecting to with this object? Are they enticed with vision? Are they enticed with auditory, vestibular, tactile, proprioceptive? Do they get an experience and a connection with their body when engaged in the activity or when they have the object? The next we're going to look at is function. What is the function of this object? So for example, I want you looking at ball. What is the function? What do they do with the object? Do they do a lot of things or do they do repetitive things? So when they have their favorite ball, is their favorite thing to do is to squeeze it? Or is it to bounce it? What function does this object connect to? A lot of you sent swing on your favorite word list. So what function is that? Do we go up and down, or are we doing wiggles? Are we doing spins? Do we have multiple functions for this object, or are we just connecting to one function? The next is location. For example, milk. How many people know that when they want to go get milk, they go to the refrigerator? What happens if the milk is on the counter? Do they notice that the location changed? The last thing we're going to talk about is sequence. Is there a predicted sequence in the activity or connected to their favorite object? Can they anticipate a start, middle, end? Kind of like a song or a nursery rhyme. What happens when there's unpredictability and the sequence has modifications? Does it create imagination and this, wow, I didn't know that could happen? Or does it create frustration? That's all really good information to learn. Our ultimate goal is to help children connect to all parts of a word, all connections, all concepts that could possibly help the expansion of knowledge. Sometimes we have to think outside of the box to get there, because kids sometimes think of words in a tunnel where this word means this. And what our job is to do is figure that out and then go, what happens if I think of it more of a spider web, or a way of going, I'm gonna drop my tug of war of outside means to go outside, and I'm gonna see if I can play with that function and that concept and go, ooh, maybe there's bubbles outside. So even though we're not going outside, is there something I can help connect to outside so that I'm not having to be stuck in this no outside, yes outside answer, but I might be able to say, ooh, outside, what can I do with it that changes the perspective, but also enhances the experience? Because what we're wanting to do is we're not wanting to have frustration all the time. Sometimes frustration is helpful because we get to really dissect all of the connections and then work from there. And I will have an example later to show you just what that can look like. But really, our job is to go, what are you connecting to? And then how am I thinking outside of the box to give you different answers and show you different ways of connection that have a positive experience connected to it. I'm going to use the example of Play-Doh. Going through the sections on our chart, I want us imagining different ways we can apply this object to exploring language. So we know the function. It's usually connected to the tactile sensation. We usually probably do it at the table. And there's a sequence. I open the container, we play with it, we might have other objects to help with shapes, and then we put it away. What would happen if I changed the function? What if I made them building blocks, or created a goal and slid them across the floor and had them be more like a ball where I'm throwing them into different containers to make a goal? What would happen if I take them outside and put them, in areas where I can hide them? What can I do when I change part of their connection? And does your child begin to explore with you? Because that is the ultimate goal, is how do I take an object that you know and show you what else it can be? I'm going to show you an example of, we call him Iron Man, of how a mom changed the location of a typical puzzle to help with cognition and functioning, to help her little boy look for pieces that were missing. Check it out.
Who are we going to look for next?
Burger.
Camel? No?
Burger.
Not camel? Which one?
Burger.
Lion? No? Camel. All right, let's go look for camel. Let's go find camel. Where is the camel? There's the camel. Thank you. All right, let's go put camel in the puzzle.
Burger.
Very good. What do you want to get next? A circle or the lion? Lion? No? You want to get a circle? Oh, lion. Okay, let's go get lion. Let's go find him. Where's lion? Let's go find him. Where's the lion? Where is he? Look around. Can you find lion? There he is.
bubble.
Take it off. You got him. What does that lion say?
Wow.
Yeah. You got all your animals. Very good.
Iron Man was confused. He kept saying no to things he was saying yes to, and he had no idea how to go and search at first. Mom had to help him with that. If you watch that processing piece, he needed Mom to keep giving him choices for him to figure out what he was connecting to. It was a great example, and he looked like he was having a great time. And so when she changed location, it became the cooler game. Puzzle became way more exciting. And that is the ultimate goal, is how are we changing parts of our word connection so that we're upping the game. We're making it more challenging, but really exciting, so that we're getting different types of interactions. My next example is of two siblings, McLean and Hudson, where Mom gave novelty to how the sequence of creating the activity bubbles is going to look like. She did what we would call an obstacle course to get the pieces of the sequence of bubbles. The fun part is then she threw in a rock for Hudson because he was old enough to just do random things and thought it was the coolest game ever. What I would like you to take note of is that for McLean, she had him go first to not give him a model. She really wanted to see what he could do when she really changed how she used language and gave interaction in a completely different format, and wanted to see how he was going to do. He needed a few minutes to process, but he did great, and he was so proud of himself afterwards. Go McLean. And as you can see, Hudson followed suit, and both of them had a great time with this novelty.
Do a little listening game. We have the bubble machine, and we have the bubbles and a rock. McLean, listen. Can you jump and get the bubbles and bring them back? Can you jump to get the bubbles and bring them back to the bubble machine?
We have to jump all the way. Jump. I did jump.
You did. Good job
Okay.
listening. Okay, Hudson. Can you jump 3 times and then tiptoe 5 times? Get the rock and spin back.
Whoa. I wanted hopping.
When a child truly understands a word, you can throw that word in lots of different ways of connection, in novel ways, in different types of activities, and that word should still hold a significance. So for example, when you walk into a restaurant and you smell pizza, that triggers pizza even if it's a new place. That connection still has this underlying root of understanding. And once I understand that, I can see pizza on TV. I can see it in a book. I can observe one of the girls in my classroom that she has pizza like I have pizza. That word starts creating this connection outside of this is my request or this only connects to me. We're really wanting it to be this expansion of how do words work together and how can they be a separate entity as well as an interconnected relationship when I have other objects, environments, and words surrounding it. The next example I'm going to show you, you can take in lots of different ways, but the ultimate way I took it as is that I basically took an activity where Amelie knew, but I didn't prep her for it. I didn't use the routine ways that has been prepped in the past. And I really wanted to see if I just told her, we're gonna get ready for snack, and I didn't say we're gonna wash her hands. I didn't guide her to the sink, and I really just waited. It's like that analogy I said in the beginning. I wanted to see when I put her on the soccer field, what she would do with that information when I wasn't coaching her, when I wasn't holding her hand, and what pieces of that activity did she connect to throughout all of these weeks of prep and schooling, and what wasn't she connecting to? Take a look and then we'll talk about it. Yeah? What else do you have to say? Did you see? Look. Look. Did you see? Look at that. You got a tear. I got it. That's really hard to do. Sorry, trying to help it. What's up, Daddy? What's up, sweetie?
Daddy?
Should we go find Daddy?
Daddy?
Okay, let's go find Daddy.
Daddy?
All right. Let's get Daddy. Whew. We all needed a moment after that. Don't you worry, we hugged it out afterwards, and I will show you what prep looked like on take 2 in a minute. But I really want us sitting with that experience. For her, it was a hard experience for both of us. We were both having a hard time because I immediately wanted to help. I wanted to fix it. I wanted to rush to help her as I was watching her struggle. But what sometimes really needs to happen when we can, especially in a safe place, is can I just give her time to process through whatever she's connecting to? She has one of the most immaculate memories I have ever met. And what I really wanted her to connect to with me is that this is a safe place. We're not going to do anything that I would not, one, expect you to not enjoy, but two, I would never do something to you that you weren't ready for. And so I need her to trust me in that. And so I really did just sit with her and go, I'm hearing you, I'm here with you, but I don't know what that emotion is connected to. I don't know why you are acting and responding in that way, because I really didn't put any demands on her. I didn't give her a single direction. We were just sitting in a place that didn't have that sequence of structure that she's used to. And what I was looking at is, do I need it, or can I help you work through it? And when you're looking at how we help or how we don't help, sometimes we really do need to take a step back and see what help we actually need to be giving, versus when I do give you time, how do you do? And this is what was the most beautiful part is, yes, it was uncomfortable. Yes, it was challenging for both of us. But when I really did wait, she actually completed the sequence and I started following her versus me guiding her. And I will show you, again, that example of what happened with take 2. But the beautiful part is I really didn't need to prep her continuously. I can give and take and really help her with, we are communicating together versus I'm your guide all the time. And that is what I want you to look at this week, is what happens when we're not the guide and we become more of the teammate on the field. What happens when we become the cheerleader? What happens when I change my role, especially in a scenario that we've done almost every day, or we've practiced, it's a routine you can do blindfolded. What happens if I change my role? Where do you go with that information? Where do you go with that experience? And so what I'm going to show you now is what it looked like when I got a little bit more information, because I want her to know that I'm here to support her, but I'm also here to let her figure out some of these opportunities. One of the best examples I can imagine is, ask my parents how I did with training wheels getting taken off. Whew! Talk about something that was a life or death situation. My dad actually had to trick me and raise the training wheels slowly throughout the weeks and pretend that they were still there to just help me with balance. and then go, look, they're not touching the ground anymore. But if he took them off, oh my dear goodness, I thought I was going to die. And so sometimes we have to think outside of the box to help that progression, that next step in development of a skill. But again, we have to figure out where's our baseline so we know where to help and also where to wait. Let's go wash our hands. Let's go wash our hands. Rub, rub, rub. ABCDEFGHIJKLMNOPQRSTUVZ. Now I know my ABCs. Next time, won't you sing with me? Awesome. Hey, where's your towel? There you go, sweet girl. You did it. You did it. I hope those examples were helpful and that you can apply some of this information to your home and different activities throughout the week. As always, please feel free to email, call, text, Marco Polo, whatever works for you. We are here to guide, support, and problem solve as much as we can. And just to give you some follow-up information, the video from Amelie happened a couple of weeks ago, and she has recently incorporated me into washing hands by looking at me and going, "It's wet," when I wasn't part of the interaction. And so not only did I get to see that she can do a lot on her own, but when I did pull back, she really wanted me to be a part of the interaction, which I just thought was absolutely beautiful. And it took a hard minute to get to that point. But sometimes if we overhelp and continue to help, we stay in that cycle of dependency versus creating an interdependency and a communication exchange that we both have equal roles. So again, I hope you had a great time, and we'll see you next week. Bye.